I'm Gavin, and this is MLS Fantasy Picks. Before we get into round 19 picks, here's a quick round 18 recap. An awesome week for me this week. I ended with 235 points for round 18. I had a week rank of 98, and my overall rank is now 23. My budget increased from $170.7 million to $174.9 million. What went right? I was very pleased with my Bogusz and Gomez picks. Herrera was a decent play, but nothing crazy with the 11. I'm also glad that I started Bouanga and Cucho. I was very close starting Orango instead, but glad I left him on the bench. Fortunately, he took quite a knock there. Hope his head is feeling good after that collision. Kalina also ended up getting me a 12, and Wagner and Tolkien were solid picks. So what went wrong? Not a lot. I mean, Aaron Long got me a 5, but that was the only real dud for the week. Can't complain. Let's take a look at the MLS Fantasy Picks leagues. Looking at the MLS Fantasy Picks Open League, shout out to Deeb with 255 points. A solid back line with Tolkien and 2 LA Galaxy players, and Gomez coming off the bench. Really nice score. And looking at the head-to-head league, there is finally a change. We are now down to 2 undefeated teams battling for the top spot. Yours truly and the Weebie Jeebies. Who will take us down from MLS Fantasy Stardom? We will see. Before we get into round 19 picks, I've got some exciting news. I have finally made the Champions League. I'll be putting out a vid about my soccer and MLS Fantasy background soon, but high level, I've been playing MLS Fantasy for like 8 years now, and I've been so close in the past making Champions League before. Apologies for the grainy screenshots here, but just wanted to show, a quick history of some of my MLS Fantasy seasons past. So on the left, we've got my 2022, I believe. So only improvement. I got there, I was getting there, and then I got to 90. That was a tough break for that, fourth quarter of the Champions League qualifier. So that was tough. And then last year, even more improvement. I was a lot closer every quarter, 250, 92, and then hung around the 100s for the, rest of the year there. So pretty close. A little bit far out, but hey, it's been a good year this year. So congrats to anyone else in the league as well who made Champions League. Please do let me know if you have in the comments below. All I needed was a little bit of luck this quarter and, some Bogusz magic to make it all happen. All right, enough of that. Let's get into fantasy round 19. As always, getting started with some key considerations for the round. Still international tournaments going on. We've got Copa America. We've got Euros. I'm not sure if any players are coming back from the Euros anytime soon, so just be sure to check on lineups this weekend as usual. A team on bye this week is Real Salt Lake, so use them for your switcheroos and auto-roos if you need them. And then as always, be on the lookout for injuries and reds and yellow cards. The MLS puts out their disciplinary summary and their injury report before every match day, so be sure to check that out. So just like last week, I'm going to keep on with the switcheroo target section before I get into player picks, just to give you an idea on what schedules are looking like. And for any of those players who aren't necessarily lock starters, maybe these are some good options that you want to look at for, early and late games. So from a defensive and goalkeeper standpoint, on the early games, I'm more of a fan of a Freese or whoever's in net for the Red Bull. I'm not too sure about DC. Maybe they'll get one in. So I like New York a bit more on the front end. And on the back end, I do like Seattle against Chicago. And to be honest, St. Louis really haven't been scoring a lot of goals recently. Though Vancouver's defense hasn't been too great. St. Louis's defense hasn't been awesome, or offense hasn't been awesome. So those are some, late options for defense, but I do like Seattle a bit more than Vancouver. Midfields, forwards for the early games, bit of a flyer with the Montreal-Philly game. Both teams are a bit leaky. Maybe you could throw someone on the bench like a Ty the Tank Baribo, tearing it up on the front end, on the bench there, or maybe a Montreal striker as well, whoever's starting. And then, of course, the NYC and Orlando game. Friday night games, gotta love it. But yeah, Orlando's putting in goals. Hopefully not against NYC. I'll probably be targeting NYC defense this week. And yeah, New York City, if you're not liking Santee as a starter, I think he's a good bench play this week. And then from a late attacking side, I like Gauld. I think he's a good option. LAFC, Colorado, more on the LAFC side. And then some good scrubbable options, probably your LA Galaxy folks like a Peck or an Espinoza in the midfield. Could be some good options that you may like but not want to lock, so you could definitely scrub them late if your bench hits early. All right, let's get into picks. So you may notice a new format for this week's video. So if you've been with the channel for a little while now, you may have noticed I've been doing a premium, standard, and budget type of layout, which I think is very helpful for early on in the season. You know, you're looking for a cheeky budget play or maybe look to raise your team's value. But we're in week 19 now, or round 19, and I feel like a lot of us have got a decent budget to work with. So I'm going to start to focus on, who would I recommend overall, and not so much on those cheeky budget options, though there still may be a good budget option who I can recommend. But I'm definitely just going to focus on, top picks that I like each week. So saying that, getting started with keeper, I do like a freeze on the front end of a keeperoo to a fry on the back end of keeperoo. If you haven't watched my keeperoo video, got a link there in the top right. And then also, as I mentioned before, maybe the Red Bull keeper could be a good option at home against DC United. And then if that flops, you could always pivot to fry still, or Takaoka with Vancouver at home against St. Louis. So defense approach I like this week. I like New York City on the bench. And then my starters this week, I do like a Wagner, even though they are away at Montreal. I mean, Philly have honestly been more decent away recently. And they're playing a Montreal side who's not too strong. Kai's still on, set pieces. He's on corners. He's dangerous on the attack. I always like an attacking defender, which is also why I like Tolkien. I feel like he's got a decent clean sheet chance this week against DC. And also, I believe he's still on set pieces. And then maybe a bit more of a flyer pick this week is someone like a Walker Zimmerman. Miami is still, missing a few guys. So maybe Nashville at home isn't an awful look. And then if your clean sheets on the bench flop, I feel like Seattle is a good backup option with Reagan, Yamar, whoever's starting basically for Seattle. I like them at home against Chicago. And then, of course, as I said with NYC, I like them with the early game on Friday. Put them on the bench, see if you get a clean sheet. If so, awesome. Scrub some starters or scrub some guys from the field and have those substitutes come on from New York City. Some other flyers that I like this week, as I said, with goalkeepers, maybe you could look at a Vancouver defender or two with a later game. To midfield. So as you'll see on the bench, I've got Santi Rodriguez for NYCFC at home against Orlando. It's a great matchup against Orlando. I feel like Orlando's not been doing so hot recently, and NYC doesn't look too bad. So Santi, he's hit or miss sometimes, so he has been pretty consistent. So I like him as a bench play this week. Another bit of a flyer bench play could be Torres from Orlando, but I'm going to be, going for some NYC defenders, so most likely will not be picking up Torres. Now moving on to guys who I'm probably going to be starting, not looking to scrub. I like Lucho. He's away, but, Lucho's just a monster when it comes to fantasy, so got to have Lucho this week. Another player I like this week is Gauld. Vancouver is at home against St. Louis. As I was saying, St. Louis has not been looking too hot. And then the international man of mystery, you don't know what he looks like. Mateusz Bogusz, LAFC versus Colorado. I know Colorado's looking good, but they do let in goals, and Bogusz has been on quite a hot streak. Maybe he'll let us down this week, but hey, that's MLS. Maybe Colorado shuts them out. We will see, but I still like him starting for me this week. Probably not one that I'm going to look to scrub. And then I've also got Evander. Portland's at home. They're against Minnesota. He's got a great floor, high ceiling. Got to have Evander this week. And then some other bench plays that I like, or maybe some scrubbable players, is, Espinoza, San Jose versus the Galaxy. Galaxy let in goals. Espinoza is, one to create for San Jose. And then Mukhtar. Maybe you want to throw him on the bench, see what happens. But yeah, that's what I like in midfield this week. And finishing things off with forwards, I do like Bouanga. I got to start him this week. Not looking to scrub him. LAFC against Colorado. I think that's a great matchup. And Cucho's an interesting one this week. I'll probably put him on the bench, though he is one, he's a striker with a good floor. He creates, he finishes, and they're playing New England. I only hesitate just because they're away, and New England has been better recently. So yeah, I think he's a harmless bench play if you need it. And then I also like Peck. The Galaxy are away at San Jose, but there's sure to be goals in that game. So he's definitely one that I would look to scrub if Cucho were to hit on the bench. And then some other flyer picks I like this week could be Bernadeschi or Insigne away against Atlanta. Atlanta's not awesome from a defensive standpoint, and I feel like Toronto can turn things on when they need to. So, yeah, that's why I like it forward. And can't forget about captains. I think good captains this week, even away. Lucho against Dallas. Though I do like Evander. He'll probably be my captain choice. And then also Gold. He could turn things on against St. Louis. I think he's a decent captain pick. And that wraps up my round 19 player picks. Hope this was helpful. Let me know again, guys, if anyone has made Champions League. Very exciting stuff. Hope you guys like the new format. And as always, good luck this week.